All right, everybody, welcome to the show. My guest today has been in popular demand. Here's how I look at the guy, everybody. I mean, you want a combination of two things, Yellowstone and a few good men, all right? And you get the guy sitting right across from me right now. We are a fan of the work that he's doing, but that doesn't mean we're not going to ask some tough questions here today. We've got Lt.Governor Jay Collins.
Hey, good to be here, brother. Thanks for having me on, man.
Man, I really appreciate it, okay? Hold on, man. I'm like, there, I'm good now. I'm like sitting down here like a kid or something, man. You got such good posture over there.
Well, if I don't sit careful here, my leg is going to come off the stool. I'm going to tip over. It'll be crazy.
That's okay. We'll talk about the leg here shortly, all right? Me and you just had the opportunity to meet a few minutes before you came in here, and I want to be direct with you on this question because people are wondering, why have we not seen a debate between the front runner for governor of the freest state in the country and the guy who's polling right behind him? Why can't we get a debate with Donalds?
Well, I'll tell you what. He said it was a thing that's beneath him, right? He said it was a prize that we weren't prepared, that we weren't out there, we weren't matching his numbers. So he didn't think he needed to. He thinks it's about me. He thinks it's about him. What he doesn't understand is this is about the people, their voices. They want to see the people out there competing to be governor. Look, man, if you're that far ahead and you think you're that strong, you're that good, get up and fight, man. Don't be afraid. What it tells me is his handlers are controlling this. Yep. They want to make sure, they want to keep him risk adverse. They're playing the political game. But people in Florida want leadership, man. They don't want people who are scared, who are afraid, a man dressed up like a chicken every single day. We've started calling him Biden Donalds, man. He's hiding in the basement, unwilling to fight. You got to earn it in Florida. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah, that's my concern about Donalds has been this, is that if you're not willing to go up and stand for your ideals on a stage, when the pressure comes, and it will from a national stage, from the national is going to come on to Florida, you've got to be that wall that it crashes against. You can't be somebody that cracks. And it seems to me like he's going to be someone who cracks. When I look at the landscape right now in Florida, what I say is this. If we had a Donalds administration back in 2020, 2021, do you believe that we would have the same Florida today?
Yeah, there's zero chance, man. Look, it's hard to be a rock when everything's coming at you. It's hard to be attacked every single day, and it's hard to put yourself in harm's way to protect the 23.5 million people behind you. Do I think Byron would have done that? Absolutely not, man. Politics generally rewards people for being spongy, for being weak, for being adjustable and willing to just bend every single time to the pressure. Absolutely not. No way he would have stood like Ron DeSantis. And, I'm asked all the time, where would our state be if Ron DeSantis hadn't been elected? Y'all, I ask, where would our country be? If he hadn't stood, our nation very well could have changed forever. He stood and protected our country when our president, our Senate, our House, world leaders attacked him every single day. Ron DeSantis stood in the breach and protected America, protected Florida. That is the standard. That is why you want warriors. That's why we're done with career politicians, and it has to be strong and stand for the right thing right here in Florida.
I'm interested. Let's rewind here. It was just a couple of weeks ago. We're here in my office, Anthony, the producer, a couple other of my employees, and we turned on YouTube like a lot of people did. Yep. We're watching the PBD podcast down in South Florida. In fact, me and you might have even gotten together that week if you didn't have to go down there. We were talking about that in the camp. And when I look at that, I watch that, and I'm curious, behind the scenes. You got you, Renner, Fishback, you got PBD down there. What are the conversations like behind the scenes? Because there's one person who's glaringly not there. Take me back to what are you guys sitting backstage going, hey, should be 4 of us here. Why are there only 3? What are those conversations like?
Well, independently, all of us said the same thing. Look, why isn't Byron here? Well, he's afraid to debate. He thinks it's beneath him. He thinks he's above this, and it's a slap in the face to the 23.5 million people that call Florida home. But there wasn't a whole lot of conversation in the back. We were all kind of isolated in our little areas, and then came back out there to check out the stage and how it was going to be set up because you had to be present. And look, whether you wanted to do this, you don't want to do it, you owe the people of Florida clarity, and you owe them the chance to go earn their vote and fight for what matters, man. That's what we have to show people, that we're not above them and that we're not a protected class, man. He thinks that's what he is.
Yeah, I can tell you that. My opinion has always been the same. When I watch him, he seems like a straw man to me.
Yeah.
When you see, these kinds of people. If you've been in business, folks, for my audience, when you come across a business owner who knows what he's doing, you recognize this guy knows what the hell he's doing, right?
That's right.
I can look at somebody up there and I can go, this guy's not comfortable with his position. I understand what he's trying to be. He's trying to be DeSantis, okay? And I get that that's the pressure that he's under to be that person. But it's clear that he's not.
That's right.
And for me, I look at this and I say, in this election, what Republicans should be looking at is who is going to continue what DeSantis has started.
That's right.
And then who's going to give ground. And I believe that we're going to be giving ground when we put, or if they decide, hey, Donald's is going to be put into this thing. I look at you as that person that's going to be able to continue the success that this state has had. Do you agree with that?
100%. Look, we have to have our principles drive our policy. You can't have your policy erode your principles. And under Byron Donalds, man, that is exactly what you're going to have. He wants to talk like DeSantis, but he doesn't want to stand there and take the heat every single day. That may mean you have to push against people who you've worked with for years. That may mean that you have to do things that are very, very hard and you're going to take risk. And that may mean that you're going to be really uncomfortable. But I'll tell you what I loved. Being a Green Beret, every single day was a series of no-fail missions. Do you know what you do with a no-fail mission? You pull your pants up, put your head up, and you fight, because no-fail is just exactly what it says. It's a no-fail mission. You don't drop the ball, and you fight. Florida is a no-fail mission. And under Byron Donalds, I'm very afraid that we're going to fall backwards. We'll be more like D.C. And in my books, D.C. needs to be a whole heck of a lot more like Florida every single day.
Yeah. I want to get back to some of the stuff. I'm going to go back to the local level and also the state level, but reminds me of this question. I want to ask you this. And you go and you lose your leg in combat.
Well, I didn't lose it. I know where it is, man. It's just not here anymore, right?
All right. Fair enough. All right. But then you decide you want to come back for more. All right. And you do it 5 more years after that. But I think a lot of people have asked you about that. Here's what I want to know, because this is important to me.
Sure.
There had to be a time where you're going from that amputation, okay? And then you're coming back mentally, the amount of ups and downs you probably had to go through, all right? This is personal to me. I have a lot of business owners who watch this, man. Can you just talk about that time in your life? What got you through? Is it your wife? Like, what is it exactly? And please, open seat, answer how you want here.
Yeah, so that was a pretty unique situation. You know, in many ways, I wish I had just woken up with my leg ripped off. It would have made this whole thing easier. I got hit and I fell 20 feet. I injured my back. I went through almost 7 years of erosion of my body, the hair falling out, the toenails falling out, my leg going into dysfunction. You know, I'm at a very high level, right? I'm a Green Beret. I went to a special missions unit. It's like sharks with laser beams on your heads, right? Like everybody there is an alpha male. They're driven. They're all driven to be the best at what they do. That is not the place for weakness. I show up there and my body is killing me. I get sent to Walter Reed to go have surgery to figure out what's going on. And I get an immediate bump. And I'm like, look, man, I'm not going to lose my opportunity to fight, to be here, to be present, and be a part of this incredible organization. It's something I'm incredibly proud of. But when that's happening, man, the pain is escalating. The function of my leg is failing. And I'm refusing to quit. You know, when you're in that position, you're just not going to quit, no matter what. So we're pushing. And when they cut my leg off in January of 14, it was a culmination of so many things. But you know, the hard part was life doesn't hit you with just one thing. My wife and I were trying to have another child. We had just had Gabriel. We didn't know that we were going to actually be able to get pregnant. We had had years of failure. We had 5 miscarriages total. So we're going through all of this. We're doing IUI. We're doing IVF. Yeah. We're just trying to have a kid, man. And while we're going through all of this, and we get to Walter Reed, my wife retires. She hangs up her spurs. She's a 20-year combat veteran. She was a counter intel agent. And the best of what she did in Army Special Operations, the most senior person. So she's taking care of him. She's taking care of me. And I got to be honest, man, all I could see was guilt, frustration, anger, because I'm not here for my family. My job's not to be taken care of. My job is to take care of them, to lead, to fight. And the frustration, I can't tell you. There was no doubt I was going to requalify. I would rather have died than fail. And I mean that. There is not a single part of me that doesn't believe that to my core. And if it would have cost me the last full measure, undoubtedly I would have done it because I saw my son struggling. I saw my wife having miscarriages, doing IUI, IVF. When I got out of Walter Reed and we went back to Fort Bragg, and I got told that, look, this is going to be hard. They're going to kick you out of the Army. You're at 18 years of service, and you're just going to have to accept this. I refused. I had worked with the Army. We had pushed on this, and I was going upstream. I was the only person in a room of hundreds of people trying to stay in, and I was the only combat injured person in the room at the time. I'm pushing, and I started to hear from people like, why are you doing this, man? You don't have anything else to prove. The fact is, if I don't fight for this now, one, what's going to happen to the people who come after us, right? They're going to have to fight the ground that I can win on right this second. And two, if I quit, what am I going to do to my family? And my wife's gone through hell and back. She's dealing with all of this stress every single day. And I didn't care what I had to do. That was the price of winning. That was the price of protecting my family. And that was the price of making sure that this happened. So that meant that I went without sleep. I went without support where necessary. And I did things that were very, very hard. Look, the first time I jumped out of an airplane after I lost my leg came off. You're like, hey, you got to learn how to fix that, right? So we ran string up my leg, 550 cord afterwards to try to make sure that happens. And it wouldn't come off again. It's a funny story now, but it wasn't funny at the time, right?
No.
Nobody wants to be a yard dart. And, that moment was actually in Walter Reed, and it happened again as we're going through this. And my wife is struggling. My son is struggling. We're trying to make this, everything stick. I just can't fail, man. No matter what, you can compound the stress, you can dump it on my shoulders, but there's just no way to break. So the only way out is through the pain, through the frustration. And I didn't have time for my feelings or my emotions. It's just get through it and do what has to be done, man. That's it. That's that simple. That was the entire mentality. Yep. And when I retired after 5 years, I followed through on a promise. I told them I will not be here any longer than I can be here and be a part of the team. I'm not ever going to be your weak link. And at 5 years, I was at the point where I was having to push more time than I needed to or should have needed to keep up with the young bucks, man. And I'm not going to be that guy. I will not be the person you have to plan around. So I said, that's it. I'm going to follow through on my promise. We hung it up after 5 years.
Yeah.
But every day, man, it's that fight. You have to prove yourself worthy. You have to remember what you fight. And, off subject completely, one of the biggest things that military veterans face when they get out of the military is, what do I do?
Purpose.
Right. Purpose. What is my transition? How does this work? I didn't know if my skills were going to work. I didn't know if I had a connection with the civilian government, with civilian people. I didn't know if I spoke the same language anymore.
Yeah.
But the reality is, when I got on the ground, my purpose was the same. I didn't go to war. I didn't do those things because I hated other people. I went because I love my family, my community, my state, my nation. It's the same exact thing. So whatever had to be done. And that's why I've had a transition into politics, because I don't care what the cost is. My job is to take care of my family, to take care of my community, my state, my nation. When I signed that oath up to that last full measure of devotion, I meant it then. I mean it now. We're protecting and preserving what we have for the next generation, man. That is the game. That is why we do it. And there's nothing more important than that.
Yeah. I've said before to young men on this show that if you're going to do anything special in life, there's going to come a time where no one believes in you.
That's right.
You're going to have to believe in yourself. And that if you're doing something worth doing, that time will come. Yep. And that's what I have written down here. I try to take notes with everybody. If you're going to do anything worth doing. And for me, that resonates. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. More people need to understand your background, to understand where your passion comes from right there. And they may disagree with your politics or your stance on something, but no one can take away your dedication to this country and what you've done. Period. Hard stop.
Patrick, one thing that I think we don't talk about enough, and it's really important, especially in Central Florida, for people to hear this. Yeah. Man, I wasn't raised with a silver spoon. I was raised up on welfare.
Yep.
I came from a broken home, a broken family, adopted by my grandparents, raised on a farm, which we lost. Like, it's all the makings of a really bad country song, right? Yep. Or a good one, depending on how you look at things. Right. But the reality is, man, my life has never been easy. And I'm not fighting for anything other than the American dream, the things that we care about, and a better and brighter future for our kids. But if I can do this, Lord, man, anybody can do it. The secret sauce is just get up and fight. It's grit, determination. Well,
I'm going to tell you about some people that have been fighting that maybe are in the wrong fight. for people who follow my content, we're located here in Orlando. I have been extremely critical, as you know, of the leadership here in Orlando.
Yes, sir.
You're aware of it. I know we've been able to chance to watch some of the content. I want to get your reaction to something because unfortunately, this is just a couple of weeks ago. In fact, not even that. It was just last week on July the 7th, Anthony. Is that right? Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that's happening in downtown Orlando every single week. Gunshots, to multiple shootings in the last 2 weeks. Shooting people, fights like this, no arrests that are made from what I'm going to show you right now. I'd like to know, as governor of the state of Florida, how do you return law and order when this is where our cities are at right now? I'd like to show you this right now. Okay. Turn this up. This is going down under the main drag in 55 West in Orlando. It continues for minutes on end. No arrests are made. And Lieutenant Governor, what I look at here is a city that is touting its arrest record, but citizens that are looking at things like this, and you know what they're saying is that no wonder our arrests are low,
Right.
because no one's arresting these people when they do things like this. And this is why our downtown here is failing, because people don't feel safe anymore to walk through downtown.
That's horrible, man.
And this continues, brother. How do we return law and order to this city?
Well, it's real simple. You put them in jail. You do that, man. Put their butts in jail. What are you going to give them? A bag of donuts and a high five and say, "Yeah, we know you didn't mean it." That's stupid. If you do the crime, you got to get put in jail. You got to face consequences. Without consequences, nobody learns anything. It's simple. That soft on crime, that soft touch nonsense always leads to more crime. We see it. And if you're going to tout, oh, look, we have an all-time low in arrests, and you have that crap going on in your streets, you might want to go look in the mirror. That's pretty pathetic.
It is.
That's a failure of leadership. And I think all of those people should have been put in jail, at least overnight, and face real consequences. I'm sure that there's many things that could have come from that, from real questioning. If nothing else, make them understand that, look, you're at a tipping point in your life. Those moments that can make you can also break you. You know, where's it going to go? You got a choice. Put that pressure on them. Don't let that devolve into a lifetime of crime.
Yep.
Hold them accountable. Accountability is the critical thing here that we're missing.
Yeah, we had the front runner for mayor for Orlando right now, a Democrat, Representative Escamani. She has a different perspective on this right here.
Unicorns, rainbows, high fives, hugs.
I'm not going to say, you know, we have the podcast with her coming out here shortly, but we disagreed. I believe that you need to arrest people when they do crimes. Call me crazy, and I told her this on the podcast, is that you need to arrest people. We need to send a message that this is not going to be acceptable in our cities. And that is what people like this understand. They understand penalties. They understand when there's a consequence to their action. I'm happy that you and I expected we would be on the same page here to get things right in a city.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can see this over time. Look at California, look at New York, New Jersey, look at all these liberal states. Look at Washington State. My goodness gracious. It's a complete and utter failure. Without accountability, you end up with lawlessness. And you could say there's no arrests, sure, but that's like watching the Titanic saying there's not a leak problem, right?
Because the whole ship's going down.
The whole thing's burning, man. It's going down. We're done.
Speaking of law and order, we did a story yesterday. It was a California story, and we called the worst person of the week, a particular judge who gave 4 years and 8 months to that case that was out there where the illegal immigrant rammed a semi into the back of a car, killing 3 individuals. But your opponent has said, quote, mission accomplished on immigration in the state of Florida. What is your stance on immigration in this state? Where do you take it under your administration?
Mission accomplished, man. We're not done yet. There's a lot of work to do. Look around. We still have a huge illegal immigration problem. Nothing's done until you've finished the work at hand. I mean, this is the problem. This is the whole issue with Afghanistan. We said mission was accomplished. We got done. And then we just kept fighting to not lose a war for 20 years. We never finished it and put an end state on this. You got to cap this off. You got to follow through, and you got to have clarity.
Yep.
Look, illegal immigration wasn't a Republican problem. It wasn't a Democrat problem. It's not an independent problem. It's an American problem. $6 billion a year is lost in the state of Florida annually. because of illegal immigration. It's a real issue. How many wrecks, how many lives are taken, how much cost is incurred by people that we don't even talk about? How much of our housing crisis is here because we have people who aren't on our books living in homes and taking homes out of natural circulation? These are all compounding problems. Mission accomplished, man. We haven't done enough. We have worked hard, but there's more work to do. Finish the game.
So I work with a lot of contractors. Let's take a roofing contractor, okay? Because I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question, okay? Let's just be very frank, everybody. Let's be real. There are people that are here illegally that are working on top of roofs, that are fixing ACs, putting floors and kitchens into homes. And when I talk to my contractors, they go, Pat, listen, man, maybe they're not doing everything above board. I'm not going to say, but they also have these guys that are working hard, right? And I've got to assume that you can see that there's a difference between that guy and the guy who's out there, like we showed right there, starting fights and doing BS and stuff like that. How do we balance, or do we balance between people that are here, they came here illegally, okay? And I have to say, man, if I was living in El Salvador, would I not do the same damn thing that they did? I can't say I wouldn't, okay? And I'm trying to balance my empathy with that, with the law and order that Floridians expect. Can you tell me a little bit, nuance this a little bit?
I'm happy to. Let's unpack this.
Okay.
Man, first off, illegal immigration, the crime is in the title. We have federal programs right now where people can apply for those, get money, go back, get their paperwork right, and come here. We have federal programs in place that if you are fleeing a country that has legitimate issues, you can come here under those rules and be protected. Now, do we also have an immigration problem on the federal level? Absolutely. And let's assign the blame where it's due. It's on everybody at the federal level who hasn't gotten things done. We need real immigration reform. But when I think about this, my family immigrated from Ireland in the 1900s. My wife's family, they're Lebanese. They came from the Shuf Mountains above Beirut, man. They fled a war-torn country. Some people came quickly, legally. Some people are still there, trying to come back to America, and they're waiting their turn to go through this and do it the right way. We devalue all of that when we have illegal immigration, people who cut the line, but it also changes the dynamic. Let's talk about jobs.
Okay.
You're about my age, you're a little bit younger, about 10 years younger. Man, my first job was out there working on the farm, and then I did roofing, and then I did work in restaurants, and I did all these things myself. We're taking away the value of that hands-on expertise and learning where people want to get out there. We have to bring back the trades. The average tradesman's 58 years old. I want people to know that being a tradesman, doing good work like that, that's not a second-class citizen, man. That is real good work, and we got to make that affordable, reliable, and a real job that people want to do. That's changing our academic system to prioritize that. We have to do it. It doesn't mean you don't go to college. It means you offer people opportunities. That's one of the hallmarks of what I want to do under our watch. And we can talk about that more later. But ultimately, when we have people flooding in here and taking these jobs, whether it's agricultural, whether it's in tourism, whether it's in construction, those are all jobs that can go to Floridians, Americans right here in the community. You can make this system work, but it doesn't work if you don't stop the flood. Turn off the tap, hold people accountable, and yes, you should take care of the violent criminals first. Yes, you should take care of the people who draw drugs and everything else in here. But the fact is, if you've been here 15 to 20 years and you haven't done your paperwork, are you really serious about being a citizen of the United States of America? Where are you showing us that? Do the right thing. There are programs in place. Accountability matters. When our principles change, our principles drive our policy, and our policy shouldn't erode our principles. And I do have empathy. I have worked all over the world, man. Afghanistan, Iraq, the Middle East, Europe, Asia, South America. And I see people from all walks of life. But if you want to come here, you got to come here the right way. And you got to be an American out of many one. Our founding fathers were so blessed by God, man. They were endowed by our creator to create a nation unlike anything else. Our freedoms come from God. They're upheld by our Constitution. It's all facts. It's all truth. And we have to stand on that line.
So I want to unpack this from me to you. Here's where I think me and you can agree, and I hope that every reasonable person can on this. Here's my thought. If you are here illegally and you commit a violent crime of any kind, aggravated assault,
boom, gone.
Okay, deal. But here's my thing. I've started to think not just gone, because I'm afraid they come back. What I'm thinking about is, how do we send a message that there's a federal crimes, there's a federal limit, right, that you're going to do? You commit an aggravated assault. You do something, not stealing, not you're a dishwasher and you take home some food. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you beat on somebody. I think you need to put federal or state level minimums in place so that these liberal judges out there don't let people off. They leave, and all of a sudden they're coming back into our state and causing more problems there. Violent crimes deserve minimums, in my opinion.
I agree.
Okay.
Couldn't agree more.
Cool.
And look, we do follow through with that. When you do a crime and you're arrested, you go to jail.
Yep.
You do your time, but then you get extradited back to your country, or you get sent back home where you came from. You can face whatever charge is there. But absolutely, you got to have a minimum. You can't give someone a ham sandwich and a high five when they do something like that, right? It's not good enough.
It's not. Let's turn our attention to property insurance. It's going to be a big thing on people as they think about it the next 5 weeks.
Haven't talked about that at all.
I know. I bet not. Okay, so I've gone up there to Tallahassee back when, what is it, Senate Bill SB 78, Senate Bill 78 back in like 2021, whatever it was, and I got up there and made my 2-minute speech, and all this stuff. But contractors, what they're saying, what homeowners are saying, everyone's going to have their own opinion. For a lot of years, I felt like there's always a boogeyman that is never the insurance carrier. Give you an example. It's AOB. It's attorneys, attorney cost. It's sinkholes was a one back in 2017 or something. Contractors tell me insurance claims aren't paid right by carriers. Carriers are saying that contractors are abusing the system, and they're saying attorneys are taking advantage of it over here. You got people pointing the finger everywhere directly to you. How do you solve this problem of premiums in the state of Florida?
Well, I think it comes down to who you prioritize. I prioritize the people of Florida, right? That's the perspective. I pay insurance as well. I would love to pay less insurance, believe me.
Yeah,
I'm not rolling in the dough here as a government employee. I'm just saying, look, what do you have to do? First off, let's talk about the things that have worked. Tort reform worked very well. We had 77% of the litigated claims, like 7% of the functional claims. That math was not good. We were lawsuit crazy. Now that's started to balance out. We were down to one insurance company. We're at 17 for homeowners insurance now, and it's getting better. So you see that stabilizing and rate filings going down. That's a good thing.
Good.
Number two, our auto rates, they are dropping. Though we have a lot of crazy drivers, and I think there's probably an illegal immigration issue that compels and drives a lot of that. I've seen that. So have you. I drive this road a lot. I-4 is
tough.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's tough.
You've got to make sure that helps drive this down. But what can we do overall to take pressure off? One, programs like My Safe Florida Home, it drives down rates when utilized properly. We've got to make sure we can fund that. Get that prioritized to the people who are at most risk, most vulnerable, to help make their homes more resilient. We saw an $800 to $1,200 drop in homeowners insurance when that's utilized. So that's one thing we can do at the state level, use more of those programs. Two, I think there is some transparency that we can talk about, the rate you're quoted versus the rate you get, right? I also love radical transparency. I'm a fan of the dashboard or the GUI, right? The GUI. Put it out there. If you have claims that are being filed, put them out there at a city, county, and state level, make it publicly viewable. And when they're filed versus when they're completed, and is it red, amber, green? If you're late, it's not moving, it's not being done, put a point of contact, put a way to contact them and why it's late, and let the public see that. And I think you're going to see data trending in the open air. Sunlight solves a lot of problems. It really does. And when you see that, now the public opinion and the public voice, it's going to push back, and they're going to be incentivized to do things a little bit more quickly and efficiently. That's one part. There are some things in tort reform we can do from a jurisdictional standpoint where lawsuits happen. Caps is something we talk about a lot that are brought up all the time. That's an ongoing food fight. That's probably the holy grail of food fights right now in terms of things. And I think you're probably going to have that discussion moving forward. But what we have to do is make sure all of those things happen simultaneously. The next phase of this is what we can do to help make the whole system work better. Permitting and impact fees are a real issue. And permitting has to move faster. You got to be on a shot clock, and it has to be digital. There are people who are just one step short of using a rock and a chisel to run their permitting process, and that's not good enough.
You got like a DOS F4 shift F2
Correct.
system.
It's like the old Word Pro, right?
Yeah,
back in the day. Confusing. And it's got to be better than that, right? You can't have that carrying cost passed on to people. That artificially raises it. But where it gets dangerous is with that FEMA 50% rule after hurricanes or things like that. When you hit that 50%, man, the whole building's coming down. Now people are priced out of their home. It's being bought up by developers or bought up by other people, and they can't get their home back. So now they're moving. They're left with another problem. We're compounding that. If we get permitting, which has been the long pole here, taken care of, well, it's going to move quicker, more contractors, and a more realistic approach to this. That carrying cost is compoundingly negative. It's got to move better. And impact fees have become the economic junk drawer in Florida policy, right? They really have. If you can't charge a tax by any other thing, it becomes an impact fee. We've got to do better on that. We're going to have to lead at the state on those two things. That will take care of a lot of these problems right now. Those are all things on day one that we're going to be working on. And to be honest, we've been working on those for a while behind the scenes already.
Okay. All right. I can take that because we got other things we got to get to here. Okay.
Right.
We can talk about property insurance for days, but I want to bore. Honestly, it can be a little bit boring, to be honest with you.
Well, it can, but those are
It's
things that
important.
will drive it down.
I mean, everything. I'm going to tell you something me and you do disagree on. All right. The hot topic right now is data centers.
Yep.
All right. I see everybody talking about we need to stop data centers. All right. And I get it because they are a drain on the ecosystem and all. I get what it takes to run a data center. We had one that went up about 10 minutes away from here in Eatonville. People can see it right on the side of I-4. I've taken a lot of flack for saying, hold on, folks. Do you want that Chat GPT search to be quick and efficient, or do you want to take care of our environment? And I think that right now I don't see a lot of solutions when people are saying stop data centers. And so if we want to have the AI and the growth in Florida, don't we need these data centers in order to make that happen? And listen, man, if you disagree with me, let's have it. I understand with it. But I am looking at this and I'm going, what else is the solution here? Because if it's not going to be data centers and counties are going to go against it or state is going to go against it, what are we going to do to make sure that old Claude AI is going to work efficiently for people in their business?
Perplexity, right?
Right. Perplexity is going to work. I know it's kind of simplifying.
I get it.
But I really don't think I haven't seen a solution presented. It's because it's real easy to go. I can't remember the guy over in Lake County. He's far right of even me. Over there, what's the name? But it's Sabatini.
Yeah.
And he's nothing in Lake County. We're not putting any of these. We're going to put a moratorium on it. We're not going to get it. Okay. And what's the plan beyond there? Right? We can say no, but there has to be something that we do, right? Can you give me an understanding of what your thoughts are?
So that is a big issue. And I'm actually trying to take a very smart and governance approach to how we do this, because look, are we going to sell hyperbole, or are we going to sell fear, or are we just going to work on facts that actually make people's lives better? That's the focus here. So first off, let's just call out the thing that we are all concerned about. It's hyperscaler data centers. One hyperscaler data center, these are enormous facilities, right? Huge draw on power. One facility can take the same amount of power or water as a city of 50 to 100,000 people. I mean, that is a huge draw. So how do we deal with it? There are three perspectives. There's the Byron Donalds approach, where you raise the flag and let it rip. That's going to lead to overgrowth. That's going to lead to overdevelopment. That's going to lead to losing agriculture, losing green zones. And I think you're going to see some aquifer damage and secondary issues with water quality, water availability, and cost. And if that doesn't go well, it's a hierarchy of needs. Right? I mean, go watch any post-apocalyptic movies, right? You see how it goes with food and water go haywire. Then you have the moratorium crowd. Here's where I am with the moratorium. If you do that, you're saying that everything is always the same, that hyperscalers are all data centers. That's not necessarily a fact. The third rail of how to solve this is what Ron DeSantis, the governor, the GOAT, the greatest governor in our state's history, is doing. And that's laws and guardrails that actually drive this thing, to your point, into something that makes sense. So first off, zero power cost to the people. You got to eat that, man. If you're the data center, you're making plenty of bucks, right?
Got it.
You can eat that cost. If you draw a penny to the people, you shouldn't build. And that should be radically clear.
Cool.
Number two, water. Zero water cost. Figure out how to cool this thing. I don't care if you put it in space, you put it underwater, you use Freon, figure it out, man. Like, figure this out. You don't have to have our aquifer do this, because the water that comes out of the back end is nasty. It's very dangerous. And when it goes back into the ground, you have seepage. The third thing, and this is fundamental to me, you have to have radical clarity on who the customers are. If you have an NDA wrapped in an NDA, the community, the people in the city and the county, they have no idea what's coming. It's not just the build, it's the secondary, tertiary, even quaternary effect of that is the real problem. What are the second, third, and fourth order effects? Who are you bringing in? How's it going to change it? And what's it going to look like in 5 years, 10 years? What are we trading? If you don't have that clarity, I don't think you should build. And the fourth thing is this, where the state should come in.
Please.
Either we believe in limited government or we don't. I don't want federal overreach. I do not want the federal government in my life any more than they have to be. And if I'm going to be honest, as a conservative, I don't think the state should be overreaching any more than we absolutely need to. If cities and counties say they want to have self-rule, well, then you should have the ability to do what's necessary. So as a state, we provide you guardrails. We protect this. So I think it's very hypocritical of people to say, well, we're going to have a statewide moratorium. We're going to take all the power and we're going to come in as a state and just block out an entire line of business. Because here's the reality. Data centers have been around since like 1950 with tape and reel. And then it went and got bigger, and then it went to the cloud, and now it's coming back down into these giant hyperscalers. Hyperscale data centers are a real problem. That should be at the city and county level to make a decision, but it has to be transparency. I actually applaud a short-term moratorium to fact find, to get details, so you understand and you don't make a bad business decision. But long-term, I don't think the state should do a moratorium. I think we should give guardrails, because here's what I know. Nothing is static. Where we are today is not where we're going to be tomorrow. Look how much has changed in 6 months or a year. I mean, a year ago, nobody was talking about hyperscalers. We were talking about data centers as we've known them for a while. And now you have these giant monstrosities. We have to be able to understand that. And, I applaud Governor DeSantis, as always. The man's been ahead of this. He put laws in place to protect power and water. But you know what's going to happen? People are fighting and finding a way through that right now. They're going to find a way around that law to work, to pass that cost on to the people, to degrade our water quality, because they want to cool this for money. And I will not let them affect our people. I will not let them harm our people. And we have to stay on top of that and make sure our laws actually reflect our ability to protect our people in Florida. So that's how you protect the economy, how you get the right tools, because there are good operators out there. And what's interesting is you have a whole group of people now who are going away from hyperscalers, it looks like, and going back to small servers, which is how it's historically been, because it's more efficient.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're going to see the market go long term. And if we get rid of all data centers, you're going to have a problem with your phone, let alone Chat GPT or whatever else you use, right?
Yep.
But now AI is a whole other ball of wax that you can unpack for hours.
Well, I've only got you for another about about 8 more minutes, and I'm going to be cognizant of your time down there, okay? So I know I'm getting timed. So I've got 2 final questions for you, okay? One of them's a speed round, all right?
Okay, let's do it.
I'm playing this one out, so let me just throw it at you. I'm going to name a topic. Give me a sentence about this thing. First thing that comes to your mind, all right, Jim?
You got it.
All right, guns.
Love them.
Okay.
Not many.
I know this one. Abortion.
Abortion. I'm unequivocally pro-life. Going to be pro-life all the way through.
Already talked about illegal immigration.
Yeah, illegal immigration. The crime is in the title.
Yep. Marijuana.
Shouldn't be allowed. I'm glad we blocked the bill year ago, 2 years ago.
About a year ago. So you have the death penalty.
Death penalty, yeah. I think we should try to do one a week. Get that list taken care of.
We're on pace for a record, we found out this year, but I like where you're at there. And finally, DEI.
DEI came to Florida to die. I should stay dead.
Got it. We've covered a couple topics that we got right there. I want to get into this one because I know it's an important one. Well, nope, I'm going to do this because everyone's a topic right now. It's going to come up in November. This homestead exemption, right? Homeowners are wondering about this, all right? This is a big deal to a lot of families, especially if you've got a home that's like a $300,000 home. And I think Democrats have painted those people like they're rich or something. This means a lot to people on fixed incomes, living in middle class right now. Your opponent, well, I think he's getting rid of it. And that's going to mean less money in middle class families' pockets, period, hard stop. Now, what he might argue is that, well, we have to get rid of it because it's going to hurt local municipalities too much. They won't be able to fund what they need. All right. What do you say to that person who says, listen, we're not going to be able to fund what's going on at a local level if this thing comes through and passes in November, because it's my understanding that you're about the homestead tax exemption moving forward.
I am. Look, here's the fact, man. We got to remind ourselves of a few things. Our freedoms come from God. They're upheld by the Constitution, and it's not the government's money. It's yours. I mean, look at the tourism tax, right? You've seen egregious overstep, $1 million a week plus. they're causing the harm on the roads, and yet that doesn't go to fix the roads and the things they're harming, and it goes to a kind of a self-looking ice cream cone of tourism money, right? Another topic for another day.
Yep.
Property tax relief puts money back in our people's pockets. That's what we want to see. We believe in our free market system to such a degree that we're willing to have no income tax and no property tax on your homesteads, because the American dream is predicated on owning your home. So let's talk about the bill at hand. While it isn't the bill that we wanted to see,
Yep.
I think it falls short of what we wanted to see. The ultimate goal is to get rid of property tax on your homesteads. I think that has to be what we march towards. Where we're at is in 27 is $150,000. The first $150,000 of your home will be tax exempt if this passes on the ballot. In 28, it'll be $250,000. Now, to your point, if your average home is $300,000, that's a big chunk of money right back in your pocket. Now, this is still the most substantive tax relief on property tax we've had ever for our people. So I love that. But what I'm concerned about is the back end of this. You know, we had a grant program at the back end of this, and that was put in place for our 29 fiscally constrained counties, 21 of which I think the math is very challenging. I look at people like Liberty County, 8,000 to 9,000 people. We wanted to have that grant process there, not to give them a long-term subsidy, but to help reset their property tax rolls. We got to bring in more jobs and more opportunity to help reset that. Absolutely, working on that now. But I want them to reap in the same rewards and not have to go without law and order, fire services, or education, or roads. You can't harm them. That's why that grant was really critical. And I'm frustrated that the legislature didn't get it in there. They didn't fund that, and they didn't find a creative way to make this happen. In our state, we have paid down over 55% of our debt. We can't put another penny in our rainy day fund. I'm happy to use a short-term bump to put money back in people's pockets, because it's the right thing to do, because it follows our principles and values.
So you're talking about using money from the state in order to help these local municipalities pay that bill, especially in these
short
counties.
term only.
Right, because what I'm assuming you're thinking is that we are able to get the bump back by putting that money back into people's pocket and trusting that's going to get back into the
That's how it always works.
The community.
That's right.
Okay. We only have time for one final question.
Let's do it.
Okay. And this one's an important one to me. I'm disgusted that you are running number 2 right now to be governor in the freest state in the United States, and you can't get the number 1 guy who's polling onto a stage with you to talk about real issues. I need you to make a plea or something to Floridians right now to put the pressure on Donalds in the next 5 weeks to do the right thing and actually be the person he claims to be. Be the person that is, I don't know, for the state of Florida, that you are, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? You've got grit. That's one of the ones I've heard. If you can't stand up and defend what you believe in, then you don't believe in it. All right. Can you make a message to this guy, a message to Floridians, so that we get what we want? We want to see the number 1 and the number 2 guy go at it on stage, and we can make the best decision for ourselves. What's your message?
Well, our message is simple, and it's to the people of Florida. You deserve to see the top 2 Republicans in this race come together and debate on the issues for you. Byron believes that it's about me as a candidate or him as a candidate. That's just not the truth. A debate is about the people. You deserve to hear those people, and I'm willing to do it anytime, anywhere, any place. He is not. Let's get him to the stage. Put pressure on him. Show him that the people of Florida matter. They're not just a consolation prize. They're not just something that we talk about in ads. They're actually the reason we do what we do. We serve the people. It's not the other way around. Push him out there. And to the people, I will tell you this. You have a choice. It is your voice, your vote that chooses the next governor of Florida. Do you want to choose somebody who's unwilling to fight, to earn your trust, to say that he got this because of the will of the people? Or is he just going to show up and get this because he feels like it's his gift, it's his right, and he doesn't have to fight or earn it? That's not the Florida way. That's not the Ron DeSantis way. I am the continuity plan for Governor Ron DeSantis, and I'm willing to fight right now, anytime, anywhere, any place. And Byron, where are you at? Get on the stage. Let's go.
You heard it right there, folks. And I'm going to tell you what, if you are Byron Donalds' campaign manager, I understand what you're doing. You're trying to hide the guy. You can't do that in Florida. That might work somewhere else. It's not going to work here. Do the right thing. Give this man an opportunity to debate him. The Floridians who are going to vote coming up in 5 weeks deserve it. Folks, he's on a tight schedule, so we've got to end it right there. Thank you all very much for joining us here on the Patrick Carr Show. Jay Cons, thank you very much, buddy.
Brother.
Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right.